Hello guys, it's Kasia from Mystic Jungle. This morning I had a fantastic big delivery and I'm really excited to show you what I've got before I go to the market tomorrow. I'll be in Horsham Market again from early morning till about 5 o'clock. But I haven't got time to take pictures of all the plants, so I thought the quickest way will be to show you what I've got because it's really exciting and new, and I want to tell you a few things about all those plants. So first of all, I've got loads of different varieties of Tradescantia, which I've got in small sizes, and there are 4 different varieties. I know Tradescantias are really popular. There are many varieties, and some of them are more common, like probably this Zebrina. So this is a larger size that I've got as well. Nice silvery leaves, and Tradescantias are so easy to propagate. They're quite delicate plants and they can break off really easily, but you can pop them in water, any kind of little piece of the branch, and doesn't matter how long, how big it is, it will root very quickly and you can make yourself lots of new plants. So those are large Tradescantias, different varieties, which with one quite unusual here, a little hairy one, and just one even more hairy, which I have to check what name of this variety is. But for those of you who are collecting Tradescantias, that's, I think, it's a real treat. And from the little ones, I have few tricolor, which are really lovely, and I even have my private tricolor holding my phone here, and it's growing really nicely. You can see it hanging here. What else? And little purple ones, again silvery, really nice and fast growing as well. Tradescantias love sunlight and bright light, so you can keep it close to the window, east or west facing, and the nearer the light you keep it, they will grow as a compact plants rather than long and leggy. Without light, they also can lose the variegation, especially those white leaves and pinks. So here they are. I've got more very popular Pothos Manjula, also known as Happy Leaf. They are really popular, but not the easiest ones to grow. But the reason why they are popular, because they are rare variety of pothos, and they are probably the most variegated ones. So it's worth to get yourself one to your collection. And something new that I haven't had before, but I know those plants are very popular, and they are syngoniums. So I've got 3 different varieties of syngoniums. One that's called white butterfly, and there is I think this is called Feel Green, which with lovely pink veins, bright green, and a pink one which is called Neon Robusta, if I'm pronouncing it correctly. And the reason why I never had syngoniums, because they seem to be really common plants, but just 1 or 2 varieties that you commonly can see in supermarkets, and I never want to have plants that you can find in supermarkets, you know me. So when I saw those 3 different varieties, I thought this is something that I would love you to have in your homes, because they are quite rare and they are so easy to grow. I've had one in my private collection for almost 2 years now, and I neglect it so much, and it's so hard to kill. It's in my west facing window. In my son's bedroom, I always forget to water it, and it dies once a month, and when I water it, it comes back to life. So I'm sure you'll be looking after it much better than I do, and they will grow lovely. Syngoniums, they are also called arrowwood vines, if I'm right, but I heard a very common name as well from one of the customers, elderly customers, that called it duck feet plant or something like that. So this is it. And they are aroid plants, meaning that they have those aerial roots, and if you give it a support, they will climb, but without it, they will grow nice and bushy, and they might be creeping. You can propagate them just like monsteras and philodendrons. So really lovely plants. What else I've got? I've got lovely big marantas. They are huge for the size of the pot, and they are flowering. So marantas, again, are one of my favorite plants because they belong to prayer plants family, and prayer plants sometimes or often are quite dramatic and often difficult to look after, but maranta seems to be very easygoing, not much light. Just water it when the soil is dry, and important thing, don't let it sit in water. So those plants, they just came from the nursery. The soil is pretty wet because that's how they keep them in the plant nurseries. And so leave it to dry, probably even to the half of the pot before you water again, because they are prone to root rot. So lovely marantas. I know many of you are asking for it, and they always sell very quickly. Another exciting plant that I've got, which came in my very first plant delivery last June when I started Mystic Jungle, and it is a beautiful philodendron Birkin. And a year ago, this plant was very rare and very sought after, popular. It just probably came out from the Dutch nurseries as a hybrid growing there, and everybody wanted to have one, hence they were quite expensive. I think the pot like that I was selling for £25 a year ago. And now the price went down. They are still very beautiful. I still got one that I kept for myself, growing really nicely. They like fair amount of light to keep the variegation. If you don't give it enough light, it will revert to green. If you give it too much light, they may burn. So probably not a south-facing windowsill, but recommended west or east. So if you want to get yourself one, if you hadn't had one last year, this is probably the more affordable time. And philodendrons are beautiful, easy to grow, and just joy to have. Right, so I will show you one of the big ones now. So I love, and I know you love, those beautiful climbing philodendrons and potters plants. I've got them, I would say medium size. It's about 80-90 centimeters long. So of course, any philodendron, any aroid climbing plant, if you give it a support moss pole, the leaves will grow much larger, and it's growing really quickly. Beautiful plant. So if you want something that will look good in a corner on the kind of raised plant pot, with wooden legs that I always recommend. It will look really nice. And this plant, of course, it's great for beginners, really easy to grow because you can just forget about it and don't water for like 3 weeks or even a month. It won't mind it because they need to be left to dry almost completely, like bone dry, before you water. You could water more often, but you know, they like to be kept dry. So that's one biggie that will be at the market again tomorrow, unless you see anything here, especially from those larger plants that you really want. Just send me a message on Facebook or Instagram and I will reserve it for you. Okay, let me show you another big one because I've shown you almost all the little ones. Another medium size palm, but that's the palm that's usually quite expensive, especially when you see it at the large size above 1 meter, 1.5 meter. Recently I've sourced one for the customer that was 1.5 meter tall, and I charged £90 for the palm that size, but this one is pretty small. And this is not a common areca plant palm. This is Kentia palm. So very luxurious, I would say. And what's nice about this palm, it's much easier to keep and much more tolerant to dry periods, and also if you water a bit too much. Compared to other palms. Other palms are quite fussy. They need a high humidity. You have to be very careful to not overwater, and people forget about it. And usually those palms that you can see in the supermarkets or garden centers already are heavily overwatered. So the chances are, if you buy palm like that from the garden center, it won't last long. So these Kentia palms are safe. They come from South Australia, so they are native to just this region in the world, and they grow pretty fast. As I said, 1.5 meter, that was a really nice size. They can grow inside the house up to 2 meters tall, even bigger if you give it good conditions. But honestly, if you don't have a great conditions, if it's like a shady spot in your house, it will be happy. And of course, it's a great plant for offices as well, because not many people want to look after plants in the offices. You can just put it there to look nice for your environment and not requiring too much care. Right, so we're getting there. I don't want to spend too much time, otherwise my Facebook and Instagram will blow up. Let me show you another small plant, which was one of your favorites. I sold so many of them because those plants look just beautiful, almost dangerous, like those poisonous mushrooms. And you may think, oh no, they must be so difficult to look after, like those calithias that die on you for no reason. But those aglaonomias, I have always problems pronouncing those Latin words in English. I can pronounce it very well with the Polish pronunciations and accent, but in English it's always quite difficult. So I use the English name, which is Chinese evergreen. And those Chinese evergreens are best if you don't have time to look after plants. Maybe you are a beginner and you just wanted to sit there, look nice, and not requiring too much care, and you can put it almost everywhere in your house. So a bright spot, sunny spot, shady place, dry or very humid, this plant, honestly, it doesn't mind. And there are 3 varieties. So this is a the collection of spotted stars. So there is a pink star and white star. They are lovely. And I think this white star will be turning into slightly blushy pink from what I remember. Yes, there's a second one that already looks kind of blushed pink. So again, depending on the amount of light, the variegation, pinks and whites, will change. But that's it really. And amazing, something amazing that I can see here in those 2 pink ones, there are flowers coming out. So this is a flower which is again really rare to see in home environment. So probably at the nursery they had very good conditions and they are starting to flower. So you see there is a bud here as well, and there is one that is finishing flowering. And of course, any plant that's got beautiful, bright colored and variegated spotty leaves, usually their flowers aren't that spectacular. So don't expect much from those flowers. Same like with the Maranta. I was showing you Maranta, got those beautiful leaves. That's why it's called Maranta fascinator. But the flowers are really tiny, not very impressive, but it is flowering. So it means if the plant is flowering, you look after it pretty well. You give it the good conditions for it to flower and grow happily. Right, so the last variety is, again, it was so popular end of last year. I had quite a few of them. That's the Crete variety, kind of more pointy leaves and longer ones. When you come to me asking for a plant for a housewarming gift, or a gift for someone who is starting with plants, I always recommend that because it's pretty safe. As long as they don't overwater it. Sometimes people say, oh, can I water it every day? No, never. Don't do it. You'll kill it. But if you give the advice to whoever you're gifting a plant, to just water it less than more, then they should be fine. Okay, I'll put it away now. And another big one, which is this lovely Ficus ali, or alai, correct me how to pronounce it. I have to watch more YouTube videos to find out how to pronounce those names, but I'm just making it up myself. Yeah, so this is a ficus which is quite unusual, but again, really popular, especially as an office plant, because it's quite easygoing. It doesn't drop the leaves like some of the most common ficuses, Benjamin or Exotica. So leave it to dry slightly on top. Just put it in the bright indirect light and it will be happy. Very easygoing. And this size, I think it's about almost 1 meter tall. So a good medium-sized plant, and it's also affordable. Ficuses aren't that expensive as, for example, Kentia palms or some other trees. So a good buy. Right, so the last, or maybe not last, but the beautiful and very popular again. I think this is the most quickest sellout plant that I bring to the market. ZZ plant, lovely popular ZZ plant. because you always come and ask for plants that are good in darker spots in your house, or sometimes you ask for the plant that will be good in a bathroom without light. Then I say, yeah, you need to give the plant some light. But if it's a one small window or a north facing room, those plants are perfect. But I'm not saying that you can't put it in the bright room. It will grow even better in the bright, in direct light, never full sun. But it's a survival of neglect. So the recipe for success is to leave it alone. Don't water it for a month. Even if you're very tempted, it's better if you don't water it, because they are prone to root rot and they hate having it too wet. So I honestly water them once a month. And they aren't fastest growing plants anyway, so don't expect, oh, maybe if I water a bit more frequently they will grow faster. I don't think so. They just have their own pace, and that's why it's worth to get yourself the plant that is already quite full, like this one, and it's already quite tall, so you don't get frustrated that you bought a plant and it takes 5 years to grow one leaf. Or maybe not so slow, but you know, it's a plant that grows on the desert in Mexico. If I'm right, somewhere in the more dry places. Of course, if it doesn't like to be wet, it must be coming from dry places of the world. And you should give it the same conditions that it has in the place that it's been native to. So that's all of my plants. But there is one more. And one more is the one that you see behind me all the time. And for that, I'll take my phone to show you. Hold on. Ooh, this is can you even see it? A lovely, lovely, huge banana. And honestly, it is huge. And this is how it compares to my hand. And this is another leaf. And of course, this is a dwarf Cavendish variety, Musa. And it should be kept indoors. It's not an outdoor variety, but it's a really large one. And perfect for a bright conservatory or large living area. If you have space, that's something for you. So that's it for my long video, and thanks for watching. If you lasted so long, if you're interested in my jungle, check out my Facebook, my website, mysticjungle.co.uk, or see me at the market on Saturday, tomorrow in Horsham. I also come to Hayward's Heath on Fridays, and I can deliver any plant for you. If you are within 20-25 miles from Horsham, just message me. Thank you so much. Bye.